unfortunately, the video, I was taking the video the other day on my Pivo device, and someone called me halfway through, and I didn't realize that it stops the video. So, lesson learned. So, I've only got half of the session, 15 minutes.
I saw
And the
it was a
second half,
short
oh, sorry.
video.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why. And the second half of the session was better than the first, but anyway, I didn't have time to redo it. So here we are. But
Okay.
yeah, got some
No.
things to go through with you actually, so I'm quite keen to yeah, discuss.
Oh, good. What do you want to start with?
Well, I've realised, and I know you've been saying this for a while, and it takes a while for the penny to drop sometimes, doesn't it? But
Yeah.
you've often said, like, um, say if they stop on the circle, you then just kind of maneuver around however they will go.
Hmm.
So it's really about feel, isn't it? And I don't think you see it in these first 15 minutes, but the penny dropped as in rather than me trying to get him to go on a fairly, or sorry, me standing more, what's the word, perpendicular perhaps to
Hmm. Yeah.
him and he's stopping. I'm now standing far closer to his hind end and um, so it's probably not doing as much pulling on the back leg for engagement, but it's where he manages to stay on a big, big circle without stopping.
No,
So
that's
I'm kind of keen to get
actually
your thought.
it's actually perfect that you figured that out because, and I'm sorry I didn't tell you to do that earlier. I should have thought of that. But no, the long reins work the
No, no,
same.
you did.
So whether you're
Yeah.
closer to his body or
You were
farther
telling me
away.
that.
Oh, okay. Well, phew.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you were. Yeah, you know you were. I just it didn't drop in my head.
So the distance of your body to his body doesn't change the effect of the long reins at all. It works
Okay.
the same. So some with horses that don't go forward easily, walking a circle on the inside very close to their circle on the outside can be really effective. It's a great way to do it because the
Hmm.
farther away we are on the long reins, the harder it gets to manipulate to kind of use the long reins when they're not very
Hmm.
forward. And so when we
Yeah.
shorten the distance between our body and the horse, but you're still on the inside of him. And the long reins are just as effective if you're on the inside parallel to the saddle or the bareback pad, or if you're
Hmm.
inside parallel to the hindquarters. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the
What
long
if you're
reins still
slightly
have the same
behind?
effect.
What if you're slightly behind the hindquarters? So you're not behind the horse directly, you're more on a 45-degree angle, let's say, to the hindquarters, if that
Same
makes sense.
effect.
Okay.
Same
Yeah.
effect. Yep. So we can adjust our position anywhere from kind of parallel to where we would be in the saddle all the way to behind the tail. The only time the long reins really change how they affect the horse is if we're directly behind because we're alternating the pressure on both reins.
Mhm.
Whenever you're
Yes.
on the inside, your inside rein being static, fixed, and you're only adjusting with the outside rein, that's what affects the rotation of the spine.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So wherever I have to kind of position myself, because the more we get towards the hindquarters or even behind the tail, just our walking kind of helps them stay forward. We have a little bit of a pushing
Yeah.
energy from behind them that we
Yes.
don't have when we're just pivoting in the middle of a circle. All the forward is up to them. We're not influencing at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
And going on a straight line around the arena, and I'm standing on the inside. So that is addressing the rotation, isn't it? But
mhm,
not so much the engagement. Is that correct?
right. So the
Yeah.
curved, so that's why where you position yourself, whether you're helping him stay forward or not, doesn't really matter.
Hmm.
As long as you're on the inside with the inside range static, you're always working on rotation. And part of rotation is not only stabilizing the uprightness of the spinal vertebra, it's also
Hmm.
stabilizing the levelness across the pelvis.
Yeah.
So you could say on a straight line, you're still working on a lateral engagement. Because you can think of
Yeah.
engagement in horses, there's a lateral aspect and there's a vertical aspect.
Yep.
So when horses are disengaged, either their pelvis sort of it looks flat to us, almost like an
Hmm.
Arabian tail head set,
Yep.
or it gets really pointy. But either way, the front of the pelvis is sloping down towards the back, and the back of the
Hmm.
pelvis is kind of lifting up. Their seat bones are either side of their tail. So their seat
Right.
bones are coming up and the top of the pelvis is going down. That's a vertical
Yep.
disengagement. So
Yep.
when you go on a circle or a tight turn, you're really addressing the vertical aspect of the engagement. When you work from the inside of him, but you're on a straight line, it's addressing more the symmetry of the pelvis or the lateral engagement. So
Hmm.
both of them technically are working on engagement, but
Yep.
you're not getting the hind legs to come to step under as deeply on a straight line as they dynamically have to on a turn or a circle.
Mm.
So the arc of the path of travel is really why they have to place the hind legs deeper, and it doesn't give them as much time to put the hind leg behind the torso. So it gives them more time to bring the hind leg forward, and it
Hmm.
reduces the amount of time they can keep the hind leg behind them. So that's how it sort of
Okay.
influences the vertical pelvic engagement.
And the smaller the circle, the more engagement, if they're,
Yes. Because the
yep.
smaller, like you can think of the smaller the circle, the steeper the hill.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like if you go up and down a steep hill, it's more acceleration to get up the hill and it's more
Hmm.
more control over your balance to come down the hill,
Hmm. Are
right?
hills beneficial? Is hill work beneficial
It
or
depends.
not?
It depends
Okay.
on how they go up the hill and how they come down the hill.
I suppose if they go up with their head high up in the air, probably not so great.
Yeah. So it
Yeah.
just, a hill and a small circle just exaggerate a challenge. And so that's
Hmm.
why we really waited with Pablo to even work on circles, because to me, there's no point in making him do a circle that's only strengthening dysfunctional habits.
Yep.
Right? Same thing with
Yep.
hills. I go, if the hills are helping him at a certain point, absolutely. If the
Hmm.
hills are making him strengthen what we don't want him to strengthen, then why do them?
Yeah. Yeah. Not that I have a hill readily available, just querying.
Yeah, in Florida we have slopes. We don't really have hills, so.
Yeah.
But I can use small circles on flat ground that's kind of the equivalent level of difficulty to a steep hill. It's the same level of difficulty. So does
Yeah.
that clarify? Because that's what I
Yes, it
love
does.
about the long
Yep.
reins is we can work on spinal alignment, reducing lateral bending, which is usually a very easy way to start with horses that don't have a lot of forward. So all
Hmm.
that ground driving you did while you were behind him started to stabilize his head, spine, and pelvis to the point that he started really having more desire to move forward. And then as
Hmm.
soon as we start working on turns and circles, it might challenge that desire to go forward, but it's also going to increase the stability of his spine and pelvis.
Yeah.
So that's why we're still playing with it, even though it's a bit of a slog, because he kind of got to the point where he really needs more stability through the back and hindquarter. And even if it's very, very slow, When you work from the inside of him on any path of travel with one rein static, you're always
Hmm.
stabilizing the spine and the pelvis in a separate function than what you were working on before. So now we're going to have two functions more stable instead of just one. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it
And
does. Yeah.
there's five total, but we only really care about three of them. So we got two out of
Oh,
three
there's
going.
five.
Yeah.
What are the five? I thought so there's alignment from front to back. There's rotation from side to side and engagement.
There's lateral bending, which is side to side, but it's different than rotation. So
Uh,
alignment is a function we take for granted, that the vertebrae
hmm.
are just where they should be, head to pelvis.
Yeah.
But he's a
Which his
good,
wasn't.
yeah,
It was very early.
he's a good example of how it was subluxating all the time, not really bending, but kind of
Yeah.
subluxating left to right. So
Hmm.
there's alignment, there's rotation, which is twisting, as opposed to lateral bending or lateral flexion is side bending,
Yeah.
right? And then there is what they call longitudinal, which just means the whole spine as one unit. In horses, going up is longitudinal flexion. Dropping the
Hmm.
back, the spine going down is called longitudinal extension. So that's why I
Right.
call it the posture of extension because they're basically dropping the spine,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So all five functions, lateral bending is not something you have to, it's like most of the horse world tells you, even to get around a circle, the horse has to have a curve through the midline,
Yeah.
right? And you have
That's how
found
you
out,
thought.
yeah, and you've seen firsthand for yourself that's not necessary at all.
Yeah.
You've done lots of
No.
circles with his neck straight, his neck to the outside, his neck to the inside. It doesn't matter. He can still
Hmm.
track a circle. And
Yeah.
so when we can feel, and this is how I was trained, it's how everybody was trained, is to bend the horse's midline like the curve or the arc of
Mhm.
the circle.
Yeah.
And technically, what happens is that is excessive lateral bending of a horse's spine. And so it causes the back and the hindquarter to tilt or twist. It
Yeah.
causes the spine to twist. And from our perspective, it gives the back a high side, low side, and it gives the pelvis a high side, low side. And so the way you're working on the long reins in this video is you're addressing the tilting of his back and pelvis. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Yeah, it does. Isn't it amazing with this day and age with all technology and stuff to share information that it's still the standard traditional training that you bend on the circle
Well, that's why I
and
wrote the
how.
book.
Yeah.
So hopefully the book
We
comes
need
out.
to get you out there to for everyone to know. Yeah. It's just
So let's
yeah.
go
You can just see
back.
how it then creates dysfunction, can't you?
It does well, and the problem is there is no part of classical horse training or traditional horse training that ever educates our awareness. Not that it hasn't always been happening, but we're never having our awareness educated that the back tilts and the pelvis tilts, and
Mm,
that is a horse twisting the spine creates the barrel rolling, right? And we're even
mm,
told the barrel should roll. And that is a
mm.
dysfunctional use of the spine because the
Yeah.
horses, they have these long dorsal tips, the spinous processes on each vertebra, right? So if you think of my fingers like the dorsal tips, they're doing this when the barrel's rolling, right?
Mm,
So to balance, for a horse to balance, they have to remain upright. Even during a
mm.
turn, they can remain upright. And
Yeah.
so all
Yeah.
of this, if they interestingly, if the top of the spine tilts like that to the left, it's going to make
Mhm.
the left side of the back lower and the right side of the back
Yeah,
higher. Yeah. It's going to
yeah.
make the left side of the pelvis lower and the left side or right side of the pelvis higher. And because
Mhm.
it's just not part of our awareness. I'm starting to see a little bit online. I'm starting to see the information kind of get out there about rotation, but it's
Yeah,
not very prevalent. And
yeah.
so what that translates to is every single horse I've worked with in rehab has that aspect, that one spinal function is dysfunctional. And
Mm.
what's interesting is every time the spine bends, it also rotates. It's combined almost as one function. So when we
Mhm.
try to feel a curve in the horse's midline, we're also making the back and pelvis unlevel. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's people go, why does my saddle slip to one side? Why does my horse have
Mhm.
one pancake foot and one upright foot? Why won't my saddle sit still? Why do I have one long leg and one short leg? All of that's related to the tilting of the horse's back. So it's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
been happening. It's just outside of training. People don't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy. I've got a question as well. When I'm doing say serpentines, am I right in thinking that if he either raises his head or bends his neck, then I'm doing this curve of the serpentine piece too sharp? I need to go wider, as in a larger
If
quarter circle.
he if he shortens his neck muscles,
Mm-hmm.
then the degree of turn is too hard for him right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought.
If
Yeah.
if he's bent to the outside, but the neck muscles are long, carry on.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Don't change what you're doing. If he shortens the neck, make the turn easier. If he's just bent to the outside, but the neck muscles are long,
Yeah.
don't change what you're doing.
Yeah. So if you were riding and you were to turn on anywhere, really, and to do it correctly, their neck shouldn't really bend around. Is that correct? It should be their body goes and their neck stays straight, or do you sometimes have it where their neck does bend?
It
Is that
doesn't
a silly question?
ever it doesn't ever need to bend.
Okay.
Um, and I had a client who like just had a really hard time wrapping her head around that idea. But if you
Mm.
watch the horses play in the pasture,
Mm-hmm.
they rarely, if ever, bend their neck to turn.
Yeah.
And it sort of finally hit her, the penny dropped for her. She was watching the horses come in and they had to go through a chute that had a 90-degree turn in it to get from the pasture to the barn. And
Mm-hmm.
as every horse was sort of trotting in through this chute, every single horse made the 90-degree turn without bending their neck.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's
And just,
just a concept that has been trained into us that that has to
yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Exactly. And does bending the neck disengage the hind end, or not
Yes.
necessarily? It
Yes.
does. Okay.
Usually what happens is if you bend then like if you sat and maybe when you do get on him, this will be one of the first things we do because once you feel it under your seat, you can't miss it. But
Yeah.
you can even, I'm trying to think, I think you could even, like when I watch him go around before I get too distracted while the video's going, like right
Mhm.
there, do you see there's barely any perceptible movement? His hindquarters look level to each other on top. As he came through that turn, they did not tilt.
Mhm.
And I know it's a little bit far
Yeah.
away, but let me just back it up because there's a great example. He's on a turn,
Mhm.
and most horses will drop the inside hip or lift the inside hip. His is starting to
Yeah.
stay level through that turn. The way you can
Mhm.
feel rotation is like maybe before or after your long range session. if you put one hand basically behind the withers on the bareback pad, and then you use your
Hmm.
other hand and you bend his neck towards you, you're going to
Hmm.
feel your hand, and it's really his whole barrel, roll away from the neck bend. So
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
and you can even put your hands on the bones of the withers because those are the dorsal tips. And when
Hmm.
you bend the neck to the left, the withers will sort
Yeah.
of tilt to the right. And when
Yeah.
you bend the neck a lot to the right, the withers will sort of tilt to the left. And then you can feel it on the wither bones, just behind the withers where your seat bones would go. You could feel it on the back of your bareback pad. You can even feel it through the top of the pelvis.
Mm.
So you just bend the neck and you'll feel the barrel always rolls the opposite way.
So that's funny, isn't it? So all those suppling exercises that you're told to do where you pull the rein around so that literally their nose touches the
Oh, yeah, it twists
um
the spine and tightens the back. Yeah.
yeah.
But it makes us
Yeah.
feel better to see a horse lengthen the neck. We think we're doing something really positive with
Yeah.
stretching.
Yeah. That's
And
it.
and
And you
be,
don't know what you don't know, do you?
well, and what's so interesting is because we can't see the important bits. Like I have to always point out in videos, just look at the levelness of the hindquarter. Look at how little it's moving. When you watch the
Hmm.
bareback pad on his back now, it hardly moves. It doesn't shift
Hmm.
left to right like it used to. That
No.
is reflecting the part that we can't see visually as easily as we can see the neck and the front legs. Like that's
Mm.
just what humans can see is the head, the neck, and the legs. That's
Yeah.
what's easy to see. What's more
Yeah.
difficult to see that you have to kind of pay attention and become aware of is the top of the back, the top of the hindquarter, because that's where the horse is either organizing in balance or organizing dysfunctionally. That's where it's happening.
Hmm.
And so it's like I'm really pleased, even though he still gets a little stuck. You had to figure out, oh, maybe if I walk with him, it'll be easier. And of course, he gets itchy. They all do, right? Because muscle tone is
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah.
But even with what he's doing, and it's nothing speedy. We can't see any changes through the leg use. We can't see any increase of energy or smoothness of motion. But the fact that he's not stopping like he used to, the fact that his neck muscles are fully lengthened, and what I look at to see the neck muscles fully lengthened is from the withers to the ears. I should not see any crest or high spots or low
Hmm.
spots or lumps through the top of the neck. So the
Okay.
mane, from the withers to the head, the mane makes a straight line, even if it's downhill. And that always
Yeah.
indicates not only a full release of the neck muscles and suppling of the neck muscles, that tells me the whole chain of soft tissue, and it's going to be muscle, tendon, ligament, and fascia that connects the top line from the back of the head all the way to the tail. And it
Yeah.
supports the axial skeleton. So the first way we know his axial skeleton is becoming as stable, more stable, like it should be, is that release through the neck muscles, because that's the last part of that chain to show us.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? So that's why it took him so long to even lengthen the neck, was because all the changes happen from the pelvis through the low back, through the upper back, through the front legs, and then the neck lengthens.
Hmm.
And so the fact that he's keeping a long neck and he's not stopping all the time already says how much he's improved the stability of his thoracolumbar spine, pelvis, and hind legs.
Yeah.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense? And that's
Yeah.
why
It
we
does.
can't, like, the way we measure horse balance is how fast are they going? Are they doing what we want? Can we get this maneuver done? But nobody's
Mm.
looking at the posture. I go, because even a limping horse can. can trot a circle. Like, so
Yeah.
trotting a circle means nothing. Or any horse can go up or down a hill, even if they're almost lame. So
Mm-hmm.
those tasks don't matter to me. The posture is what shows us what's happening on the inside.
Yeah, yeah. And I know we're way off me getting to this stage, but I'm kind of even thinking like, what discipline do I want to get into? And I don't want to bag out dressage by a long shot, but I could just imagine the lessons that would, you'd be asked to push him on or just undo all the stuff that we've been doing. So I don't, what's your thoughts on, or you don't have to say,
Well, no, what's funny is what I teach is dressage, ironically.
okay.
That's what you're learning because
Yeah.
eh,
Could you move to
dressage
Australia, please?
dressage is meant to
Yeah.
balance and gymnasticize a horse, right?
Yes.
So the accurate paths of travel, the geometric pattern you do in dressage, is supposed to be related to what we're working on that I call internal straightness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alignment, stable rotation, no lateral bending equals internal
Mm-hmm.
straightness. And then the
Yeah.
rhythm, which is the cornerstone of dressage, that horses have rhythmic movement, right? That's directly related to lifting the back and engagement. And so rhythm is an equalization of the forces of motion balanced with control over motion. And like in
Mm.
in um, Pablo's case, we have no accelerator. It's broken,
Right.
right? So we're rebuilding the accelerator little by little because there is a whole chain of back and core muscles, use of the spine, use of the pelvis, hindquarter muscles, and the swing of the hind legs. It's a whole chain of muscle, tendon, and bone that's called a pushing mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have a pushing mechanism, which is their internal accelerator, and they have a braking mechanism that does the opposite job,
Mm-hmm.
and that's their internal brakes. And
Yeah.
horses with too much whoa or too much go just have an imbalance.
Yes.
So we're having to kind of rebuild the accelerator mechanically before he's going to give us energetic forward motion.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would recommend is just keep doing what you're doing and then go to
Yeah.
the dressage show, but never take a lesson.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
it's
Good
just
point. I just think, oh, well, and I know we're probably years off that. I get it, right? And I'm not going to rush the process. But I was just thinking the other day, wow, what discipline do I finally want to end up in if I get there, if we get there? Because I could just imagine
so
some of the lessons.
what you're essentially doing with balance is it's a three-dimensional balance that I look at for the rider and the horse. And
Mm-hmm.
when that internal coordination replaces old habits that were creating problems, habits of dysfunction, we not
Mm-hmm.
only have to kind of get the coordination in the nervous system, but in that process, you're also developing the muscles that support that new balanced coordination. So
Mm.
by the time you've sort of stabilized that coordination with muscle development, your horse is more athletic. So if you want to trail ride or do endurance riding, the way the horse moves is more efficient. So it balances strength with agility. Or sorry, it balances, I should say, power with agility, and it balances strength with suppleness, and it
Mm-hmm.
and it balances the power of forward motion with control over forward motion. So that's
Yeah.
what athletic ability is. And you can do whatever you want. I think their jumping days are over, but is for both of your
Yeah.
horses.
And
But
my days. I don't think I've ever jumped.
you
Yeah.
could do dressage, you could do any kind of pleasure class like hunter pleasure or Western pleasure. Or you guys don't have hunter, I think, but equitation, I think they call it. Um,
Oh yeah,
but
consultation. Yeah, yeah.
any kind of
He's
equitation classes or dressage or trail trials or what they call not the full on big endurance races, but there's different endurance trail things you can do.
mhm.
And all of that's pretty fun. Like you could even teach them tricks and whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
this part is for his health and well-being.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the side effect is you get a calmer, more athletic horse that likes you as the end
Mm,
result.
the bonus. Yeah. He's definitely, he's come leaps and bounds with he's just happier, I think, in himself, so therefore less defensive. I've learned a lot on how to approach him, which is helping. I'm not as defensive and not so reprimandy. Like, if he
Yeah.
was defensive at me, I'd then reprimand him and it would just go in a big vicious circle.
Oh, yeah. Horses like
So
him
yeah,
are
our
like,
relationship definitely.
they're like, bring on the
Oh yeah.
fight. Yeah.
Oh, he loves it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, things have improved 1,000%. So it's really good.
Oh,
And I
good.
can even, when we're doing our sessions now, if there's, quite often the neighbours, young kids will get on their motorbikes, for instance, and hoon around, or, things happen, don't they? But I can get his attention back quite quickly, so he doesn't kind of escalate, which
Perfect.
then makes me feel more confident as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So you
what I
guys
do kind of,
you're learning to trust each other.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And my ultimate aim, I know this probably sounds ridiculous, but is to then, so we've got a bit of property the other side of the arena, to ride him, or not ride him, eventually ride him, but even take him for a trail ride, a trail walk. Whereas previously he would get so, it'd actually get a little bit dangerous. He'd get so
Mm-hmm.
anxious at being by him. He obviously didn't trust me to be the leader, and he'd be out there by himself thinking, the wolves are going to get him.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare. So building up slowly so we're both confident going out and stretching the
Absolutely.
distance.
And it has
Mm,
less to do with the two of you physically going to that location. It has a lot more to do with what you're talking about, that you feel less reactive, he's less reactive, you're trusting each
yeah.
other more, he's feeling better. I see him in every video, including this one. The guy is all business. Like
Yeah.
his ears are
Yeah.
concentrating. He's trying as hard as he can. He's
Yeah.
in the learning frame of mind, and all the struggle we see is just because he's showing us this is physically difficult for me, right?
Hmm.
So that's where the only way to get through the physical difficulty with any kind of positive permanent change is patient repetition.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
go, that's how habits were formed. That's how habits change. And I
Yeah.
go, I don't, anytime we try to kind of escalate it and move the things along
Mm.
faster or use leverage,
Yeah.
I go, there's just a price to be paid because you can't cheat the body. You can't make
No.
him do something that is physically too hard for him to do. And if when we do that, we pay the price in a pain issue. Then we've got a
Yeah.
bigger problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Well,
paused the
this is
video,
what got us here in the first place, I would say.
right? So
Yeah.
I paused the video right here because I wanted to point out something important. And this kind of goes
Mhm.
all the way back to your question if is the are the long reins still working as well if you're
Mhm.
closer or not turning as tight. And just watch here his right hind leg, which we know was the most restricted leg because he
Mhm.
had the fractured coffin bone. You can imagine as long as that fracture took to heal, there was an invisible cast on that
Mm.
leg all the way up to his pelvis because
Yeah.
the body restricted it. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? And so
Yeah. Yeah.
just like and once the cast is off, the leg moves as if the cast was still on until we address it. So in the time you've been addressing it, this is why this leg looks, he's so careful. It's stiff, it's a short stride, but that is absolutely the best I have seen him use his right hind leg. That is the healthy
Oh, good.
function coming back into his right hind
Yep.
leg. And I just wanted
Mm-hmm.
to pause it there because it had caught my eye, and we'll see as he goes around. But even as he goes away from us, do you remember when his hocks used to sort of move in and out during every stride?
Yes.
They've
Yeah,
tightened up now. They don't
he's a
they
bit
don't
wider now,
wobble.
isn't he?
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, good.
And
Yeah.
so
And I've
as oh,
noticed when
go ahead.
I was just going to say when he's eating his food, I've noticed like previously he'd always stand with his back hooves pretty well touching. That's how close, narrow he was. And now, not all the time, so probably 50% of the time now, he's a lot wider. So
Hmm.
that's good to see.
Yes. And I think the stopping, like with his ears half back, and some of it is
Hmm.
okay, he might, want a little rest, but it looks more and more often to me like he's sort of stopping because he's kind of feeling his hind legs in a new way and maybe starting to get the
Mm.
hang of what they're there to do. But like that step
Hmm.
that looks a little lame on the right hind, every time you
Yep.
see those steps where he looks a tiny bit lame, that's another improvement in the function of that hind leg. And
Hmm.
if it looked more and more lame, that's lameness. That's not correct. But if you see like a little catchy step and then he
Hmm.
stops a lot and then he'll smooth out and work through it,
Hmm.
we can't see with our eyeballs that that right hind leg just came deeper, but it did. That's what that little bit of like uncomfortableness is. And it
Yeah.
is uncomfortable and
Yep.
it is hard. So he starts stopping a lot when he does use the hind legs better, which is normal. And
Hmm.
I would do the same thing. Can't blame him.
Yep. 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 I've also started at the end of the session standing on the mounting block just for him to get used to. And it was so cute. The other day I stood there, and then when I got off, he gave me a little nicker. I thought, oh, bless you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is like that melts my heart. I only
Yeah,
get,
he's pretty
there's
cute.
only like a handful of horses that do that. But the ones that do it, they do it a lot. And and it would be like when I used to get off of my Arabian, if she liked the ride, as soon as I got off, she gave me a little soft nicker.
Oh,
And if
oh,
she didn't
cute.
like the ride, she looked the other
Yeah.
way. She was like, no, that wasn't good.
She got silent.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and some
Yeah.
horses do that. So that's really interesting that he gave you a little nicker because that to me
Hmm.
is like a horse being overtly expressive and affectionate that they like what just happened when you get a little nicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was nickering me because I got down off the mounting block without getting on him. I don't know.
Well,
But anyway,
it could be for that particular session, but you'll see.
yeah.
It's just
Oh, cute.
interesting because he is so expressive all the way around. I guess it doesn't surprise me too much. He expresses good things as much as he expresses his dislikes.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, but I'm really pleased and I you're gonna have to keep adapting with him for a little while
Yeah.
longer yet. But what you're gonna
Yeah.
see from this point going forward, he's working, believe it or not, he is working his hindquarters and back as hard as he can right now with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what you're going to see is, again, less stopping will be the first sign.
Hmm.
A steady rhythm will be the second sign. Very slow, very small strides, but kind of a equal stride length, measured rhythm. And then
Hmm.
once you start to see that, after that, you'll start to see more energy come through. But the
Mm.
energy comes through with control, so it's a calm energy. It's not the kind of frantic energy that stress hormones give you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that would be what I would look for to then think about really. maybe getting on and walking a few steps or taking him on the
Mm.
ground out to a different area.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but
And
very,
I've
very
started
good.
working him a bit longer. So we do 40 minutes now, um, pretty well, 3 to 4 times a week. I try to do
Oh,
4.
excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's quite a bit more time than what you were able to do before.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, normally it's say 25 minutes on the circles like this, and
Hmm.
then 15 minutes that it up to yeah, doing my math here.
Mm.
Then 15 minutes more kind of around the arena, and then sometimes big circles or serpentines, that type of thing.
Yeah, now you see the leg looks less lame as he came through that turn. It
Mhm.
wasn't exactly fluid. It just didn't look as hitchy. And so
Mhm.
again, even in the time I just pointed out the hind leg to there where he stopped again, it's already getting smoother in its use and less lame looking. So that tells you it's just a little change in coordination. It's just a little discomfort, but he should keep working through it. If it really was
Mm.
a painful lameness issue, then every lap you would go around the circle, he would look more lame, not less.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how we know the difference between a funky step that's just part of changing coordination, still
Hmm.
uncomfortable, but not the end of the world,
Yeah.
versus a lameness that it's like, oh, stop work and call the vet.
Yeah.
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 But you better be pretty pleased with yourself.
Yes, he's doing well. He's doing well. Oh, and I've started seeing an Alexander technique practitioner.
Oh,
Um,
see, you'll never need a riding instructor then. Those are the best riding lessons I ever had.
yeah, yeah. So that's very exciting. Had my first one last Saturday. So yeah, I'm gonna yeah carry on with that for a little while.
Well, I think what you'll get out of that will be you will start it's great preparation for you riding because what you learn through the Alexander technique is no different than what I would teach you as a rider. And what you're
Hmm.
doing on the ground is preparing you for that. And you have lots of time with your horses to work on yourself with what you learn at your Alexander lessons while you're doing groundwork.
Hmm.
And it's the experience of changing coordination, like I try to prepare people, but it is so disorienting. And
Mm.
we go through a mental emotional process that starts with this feels wrong.
Hmm.
This
Yeah.
feels like wrong to the point of terrible. This feels really
Yeah.
wrong. Then it feels slightly less wrong. Then it feels okay. Then it
Yeah.
feels like you get a sense of ease somewhere. And then it finally feels not only right, but better. And it's such a
Yeah.
weird process. But when you're doing Alexander lessons, what you go through mentally, emotionally in that process is what your horses are going through. And so it
Yeah.
really helps to have a firsthand experience of changing coordination because it's a big ass deal. It is not a small, like
Yeah.
people look at these videos, I'm sure online and go, yep, he's still walking around on circles, not,
I know. It's like,
in
how long has she taken to
the
sort
cloud of
that horse
turtle
out?
dust, right? But meanwhile,
Yeah.
all these
But we know
internal,
the progress we've made.
yeah, and all these internal changes are happening at such a deep layer of the body, it takes a
Mm.
long time before it kind of works its way out to something more tangible and obvious.
Yeah. And also, I've been learning in the process. So perhaps if you had Pablo doing the rehab, you might have got to this stage,
Whoops.
you know, a whole lot quicker perhaps than I did. But it's all part of the process, isn't it?
Maybe. It kind of depends. Like, in training, I can't make a horse change faster than the horse can change.
No.
So I'm very efficient because I know what I'm looking for. I've done it 1,000 times. I know the feel, I know the
Mhm.
signs, I know the subtle signs. So that part of it can
Yeah.
speed up the process. But I look at a horse
Mhm.
like Pablo and I go, you're doing an excellent job because there's no way I could have pushed it along faster than what you were able
No.
to do. His body just wasn't, it just couldn't have
Mm.
gone there. And
Yeah.
everybody who tried got him to the place he got stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so a lot of times I think some of the most important work is best done by the owner with the horse
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's slow, it's very repetitious, it's not
Yeah.
super exciting.
No.
And even if people get bored with it, I go, okay, good luck, or I can take
Yeah.
the horse to alleviate their boredom or a safety issue, but I can't make the horse
Do
change
it quick.
any faster than that particular horse can change, or person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
No,
person.
I'm still really enjoying it. It's oh, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I think, oh, just a little bit quicker, but
Yeah,
I just have to be patient.
no, I'm the same way. It's
Yeah.
like, because
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
nothing more boring than standing in the middle of the circle sometimes, but
Yeah.
it's
It's what it
like,
is.
is what
It's
it
what it is.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, my dear, let me stop the recording.